I think last week was the first Lolz show we've ever missed because of you. I believe the other Lolz absences were on me, but you finally broke your undefeated streak.
I think that's right. I think you're right. I didn't know that. I didn't realize until you just mentioned it. So thank you.
Oh yeah, the Lolz accountants they fed me the stats before the show, and so. But how was your Thanksgiving?
Good. How was yours?
It was good. It was probably too good just all last week because I drank so much that this week I said I am not drinking during the week, trying to sober up. We got pretty blacked out on Wednesday. Last week we had a wild ship chasing show with Spags and Eric Beimfor, and Daigle showed up blacked out. So it was a blackout Wednesday. Missed having you in the mix. You joined us, I think. Yeah, you were on the Blackout Wednesday show last year, I believe.
Yeah, I think so.
What did you end up doing? What pulled you away from the interwebs?
Oh, just family stuff.
Yeah.
I couldn't figure out how to move it all around.
Yeah. Well, I was also seeing because I was, and I know we've talked about this before, but there is that really good UFC card coming up. Isn't it a week from Saturday, I want to say?
Well, I haven't looked in a couple of days. It might be.
The reason I got excited is because I follow my guy, Sean O'Malley on Instagram, and I believe he has this fight. And then I looked it up, and I think it's UFC 269 at Saturday, December 11th, the Oliveira versus Poirier, and then we have Sean O'Malley, and it seems like a good crew.
That would have been perfect if you would have said it 2 days ago.
Oh no, you
just booked the 11th for something like yesterday.
No.
If you really want to do it, maybe I could figure out how to.
No, we don't have to force that. I just know you had mentioned that, and it seemed like it would be a good card and a good.
Good evening. I had it open. Maybe we can talk about it.
It's all our favorites because we also have Amanda Nunes on that.
Yeah, card. That's the one I mentioned, right? Yeah, I knew there was one coming up that was good.
Yeah,
Does it have Chase Hooper on it?
Oh my God, let me see. He's not on the main card. Maybe he's on the prelims. But it is fun. It's still like, because I had played MMA for probably 5 or 6 months straight when COVID hit. And so now I haven't played in a long time, but it's still fun that I can pull up a card and recognize 75% of the fighters just from that 1 6-month stint.
Yeah, it's true. I stuck with it. I love it.
Yeah, you're still in the streets. Is there any kind of new meta and stuff to it as far as from a DFS perspective, or just same old, same old?
Nah, just don't dupe and pray.
Don't dupe and pray. That's the new shirt. My, the don't dupe me, bro, is selling well, but don't dupe me and pray, I think, is going to be the sequel here.
Yeah, that's one of those where the touts is it's got to be a rough scene for them. Like enough that you're going to get some sort of DFS edge over the odds.
Yes.
These guys, I don't.
Right. It does seem like the most pure kind of game theory DFS game where the outcomes are pretty binary and the field gets overconfident on one side and you can just kind of exploit that overconfidence.
Yeah. I mean, I've never done it, but compared it to actual slow fights, fast fights and stuff like that. It's even girl fights, it's girl fights don't score. It's okay, there's a girl fight, 140 points. It's pretty crazy. You just basically just want your guys to win. That's it. But you can win and get 69 points, but
that's how it goes.
I think it's a great sweat too. It's interesting, different perspectives on people's favorite sweats.
Yeah. Yeah.
I hate PGA. I like PGA. I like MMA.
I do legitimately love the MMA sweat. It just when football season hit, it was just Saturdays are just my one day to kind of take off. And so I was just I don't want to anchor myself and sit and watch, but it is a very fun sweat. Let's see here. The Goose wants to know the deal with my headphones. So I had basically 2 events that happened. One, I changed my computer setup. So I switched from a PC from a Mac to a PC. Oh. And the Mac speakers were pretty good. I could play music off of it and it was fine. My new monitor, the main monitor doesn't even have speakers. And then my side monitor is the shittiest speakers. So I've been using headphones, to listen to music just when I'm at my desk and stuff. And then my wife actually got her office got them these really good headphones. And she was like, I'm not going to use these. Do you want to try these out? So I've been trying, and basically to answer the question, I don't like, going to the hardwired and then back to these constantly. So I've just been trying to see if I like keeping these. I'm still on the fence. People don't seem to like how they look on me. So, we're feeling it out, Brian.
It's pretty common. I've thought about it. Have you tried the one ear?
You just like,
yeah.
It is weird because they are kind of noise canceling. So even just, it's funny.
That's like wearing your hat backward. You're really cool. I was thinking about getting one.
Something like this.
Really, it looks like that guy from Empire Strikes Back, the security guard.
Thanks, Phil. I appreciate that. Leone said it didn't look part of my brand. He said it, but change is hard.
We've done it. It's been so long. To have one way. I think I was thinking to get one because I think I noticed because I play through the speakers and I think it's been echoing a little bit back like you. So I turn you down right now quite a bit.
Don't turn me down.
But it's kind of annoying because
don't turn me the fuck
I want to hear you. No,
Pete,
Pete, I want to hear you. But I don't want it to echo. So maybe I'll try to throw my hat in the ring.
Jesus Christ, D Gold. I mean, please, this is a family show. And by family show, I mean people are literally here to watch you talk about naked yoga. Did I tell you that because I think I mentioned this on another show, but I don't think I brought it up since we've last done a show. The naked yoga episode, I think, was on pace for more views than the Chess is Okay episode because of the SEO clickbait.
Oh my God, are you serious?
I literally think people searching naked yoga, go double check it right now. But last I checked, I was like, that Chess is Okay was probably the most viral a Lolz episode can get. And just putting naked yoga in the title of the other video is going to surpass it.
So I'm looking at the pod downloads. Do you think the SEO works the same there?
No, but that'd be a good comparison. What is the pod?
Yeah. How do I? This is the last week. Let's see here. Okay, here we go.
Oh my God.
What?
That fish. I hadn't even checked. It's up like another 1,500 views. So the YouTube Shiba Coin naked yoga in fish gloves, 5.1 thousand views. It completely lapped the Chess is Okay video.
What the fuck?
5K views. And the Chess is Okay that everyone in DFS watched has 3,500 views.
Well, I'll have to look at my channel in a second. I did one day I started getting I didn't even tweet for 2 days and I was getting 5 or 6 followers.
Yeah.
I wonder if it was from this.
Just people following the naked yoga guy. It's funny too, because normally the abstract titles, don't work, as well. But naked yoga is truly the ultimate hack for SEO, apparently.
It doesn't look like it carried over to the pod downloads.
Maybe this is how we break it. The only way to top it is a live stream of Chess is Okay doing naked yoga. That's
true. Yeah, maybe we can get him to do it. If everyone would just vaccinate, like he said, maybe he'd do it. Maybe we can get the country up to 95, 98% vaccination rate. Chess is Okay. I'll do a live naked yoga stream for everybody.
Dave does make a good point. I might be making an assumption that it was naked yoga pulling it in. It could have been fish gloves, which is also
they're very popular. They're very popular.
Oh my God. It's so sick because in my head, I want this photo, if you were GQ magazine, Brian, just pixelated naked with his yoga mat under his arm wearing his fish gloves. 2021's DFS breakout star, Brian Hooper. And then there's that photo.
Like those New York Times profiles, whatever they would do on the NFT guys.
Yeah.
Right? Where they hold a basketball for Top Shot.
Do you know what? That would actually be a really good charity spoof type thing for DFS. The ESPN, the body issue. If they did DraftKings, the body issue. And then we had, instead of, whistles and Big T and Osimo in this, what if they were just tastefully nude on the cover of a DFS magazine?
That's probably better than what the way they're going.
should we quickly pull up the clip of whistles in the bathroom?
We get it's only a clip, unfortunately.
I mean, we have to imagine there's an extended version coming. Some people felt deceived because I did put this image on the thumbnail tonight, but it was too good not to include.
Let's go. Woo! Let's go.
I don't do push-ups. Let's go.
I mean, could you ever have imagined when we had whistles on, if I just said, okay, in a few months, and granted, we had already seen him on the DraftKings show doing the woo-woo thing in the post-celebration, but he had a really low footprint at that point. If you said he is going to be in a DraftKings short coming down the stairs of a Miami penthouse in a robe, screaming his signature slogan, would you have believed that?
No. And he's also the most natural acting for sure out of the three of them.
It is.
I don't know if that probably isn't even acting for him. They're just all they need to do is get a camera there.
Yeah. I still the strategy is, I guess my question now with kind of this series is it feels like they're basically doing trailers for trailers is what it feels like.
Yeah, because the episodes are only like 4 minutes long or something.
Right.
Yeah.
Also, another thing that made me think back to one of the episodes, I meant to post this in the Lolz channel in the Discord, was I was updating, my NFL spreadsheets, and I couldn't help but notice there's a one Mr. Tom Kennedy who plays on the Lions. Have you seen this in your NFL spreadsheets?
No, that's an offensive player?
Yeah, he's a wide receiver, and I just had to add him because he wasn't in my index matching, and I added the new ones. I was like, Tom Kennedy.
I did see that. Yeah, I never had a problem with it though, so it must have matched.
Yeah, no, I just hadn't added it yet.
They need to. It's too much anticipation. Like, okay, two nerds like us, we can, we love this bit, so it works for us. But like, I can't imagine that is like working, pushing the meter for them at all. You know what I mean?
Well, that is the thing. We have this full appreciation knowing Big T, Whistles, and Osimo, but
right.
the average DraftKings Twitter follower is just like, what the fuck is this?
Right. Like, they designed this for us. Like, if they could get Ben the Better in there somehow.
You know the GIF?
Vegas Dave, Ben the Better.
You know the GIF where it's, what is it? I forget the movie right now, where he's like, this is bait. That's when DraftKings posts those videos. It's you and me going, this is bait. This is bait.
They get us to watch it 20 times each, but then like who else is watching it?
This is like the it's like the NGMI guys in the Discord. They bought all these Gary V books. I still don't even know the exact reason they bought them all, because Gary V came up with something tying it to an NFT, and so he just got everyone to buy his books. And it was so brilliant, right? Because it's like, think of how many true fans you would need to get to buy it, or you could just get a bunch of degenerates to each buy 25 each. I mean, that's what you really want. I mean, would you rather find 100 people willing to buy 25 or 2,500 people to buy one? Here it is. You buy 12, you get an NFT.
Yeah.
So DraftKings got us. They knew we would just watch the GOAT episodes on loop.
That's right. They did a couple more betting personalities, and that's all I would watch. I would watch every episode. But then they're not doing real episodes. Like, how long could that take too? Like, they have to they're not putting in a ton of effort into that editing.
No, I think thank you. Yes, it was Mad Max Fury Road. Yeah, we've said this before about it. I give them props for trying to do this. They should be doing stuff like this. I think the amount of resources you would actually have to spend on it to do it well would be pretty significant. But like, what I would I guess this is how I would do it on a tight budget. I would want not like the glamorous, okay, we're at the suite. I would watch an actual day in the life of Whistles. Like, I want to see him at his fucking house with his kids. I want to see him at school. I want to then see him in a time lapse of him in his office and then he's like running home because he has to do a late swap and he's watching TV with his wife and now he has to bounce up and do like, I want to see like the real raw stuff of how this works because it was a little too staged and then not funny enough on the staged front.
Yeah. Yeah. You mentioned that earlier. They should have went one way or the other. Yeah. They should have pushed it to be hammy or whatever, or just done something legit, like realistic. I would watch that. I'm telling you, 2 months, $2 million. That would be hilarious.
Yeah.
Put them in the same hotel room for a week.
But honestly, why wouldn't, DraftKings, and we can talk if they have the money to do this, but like, why wouldn't they be trying to do ideas like that? Like get 5 of these, you single. I don't think you would do it, but there are 5 single DFS players.
There's plenty of them
full time that would go on a show and you have the reality style booth. I'll fucking host it. I mean, have some drama building up these characters. They're playing against each other. You're also getting their reactions on the highs and lows. Like you could stitch together a really entertaining show with that premise.
I would do a second podcast during the week just to recap it, like The Bachelor or something.
Dude, we would start our own. The cottage industry of content that would pop up around that within DFS would be so fun.
Yeah, that's definitely the way they should go. They're not. Like, if they put you in charge, I was thinking about this today, like, put you in charge of DraftKings, do you think you could, like, I think realistically, like, the whole company would probably tank in 6 months if I was in charge of it.
Well, the first thing I would say is we're welcoming all winning players to our platform now.
Yeah. Well, that would be my goal. I would be like, come on, let's try it. Let's try to get an odds maker in here. But yeah, just like the day-to-day stuff too, I'd be like, I have no idea. You handle it.
Yeah, this would be funny. I mean, I find it funny to see 5 nobodies that think they're great. Just watch them till every slate. I mean, who would be the perfect person for the show who might even have a little bit of reality TV show background, has a little DFS back. Randone absolutely has to be in this house.
He might be too big. He might be too big for it.
Dude, they call up Randone. He's fucking clearing his schedule, all the NFT meetings, and he is sprinting to that DraftKings reality TV show house.
Who else would you put in there? I would put him in there. You know who would be interesting on there? Adam, shit my money.
Yeah. You need the curmudgeon.
The curmudgeon, just like hates everyone, all of his roommates.
Yeah.
Who are your other 3? Who are 3 other good ones on there? Like, Alex is too busy. He's not going to do it.
No.
Big T's probably too busy too. He might do it just to run pure.
Yeah. You know who we need to get? We got to get Empire Maker in there.
He won't do it.
He wouldn't do it, but I'm trying to, it's really hard. You have to think of like, who are the young single guys right now? You need someone in their like early 20s who's like,
I'm thinking personality too.
Like,
like somebody interesting. Most of these touts, they're pretty boring.
Yeah. Well, that's why Randone.
Do you think Davis would do it?
No, Davis wouldn't do it.
No, he's above it.
But maybe this is the thing. Maybe the way you have to do it is because you couldn't really film it over. Like, how long do you think 2 months, 2 million? What? Jesus.
About 2 months, I'd say.
I knew it right as I said it. I was thinking about backpedaling, being like, well, maybe they actually filmed it for longer and then cut it down.
It's honestly possible if they did.
You're probably like, even someone like Davis, I don't even know if you could get him for 2 weeks.
He's too busy. I don't think he'd want to do that. And that's not his drama's not his deal.
Here's how you have to sweeten it, right? Everyone gets a $10,000 DFS bankroll to start. It's just you're getting free 10,000 in your account. And so now you're incentivized. It's not like just go live with a bunch of strangers while we may, and then maybe it is. And then there's also a prize pool for whoever's up the most at the end of the month.
And you pay them. And you should pay them too. For their time. Yeah. Honestly, you could do it like an NFT bro in there too.
Yeah.
Like, try to make $2 million selling NFTs. Like, it's all DraftKings related now.
That's true. A Shiba coin investor. No, that is Whistles Go Woo in the bathrobe there.
Who the fuck is Jonah Falcon? Oh wait, I just said Falcon wrong again, didn't I?
Oh no, that's your thing. We should talk though, because there has been lots of DraftKings stuff going on in the Jonah Falcon is claimed to international attention in 99 because of his claim that he has the largest penis in the world.
Oh, okay. Didn't know that.
Yeah. But that's actually not true because Big Dick Bric does.
I can prove it. Before we shit on DraftKings, how about one good thing about DraftKings? I guess we've kind of been shitting on them this whole time with their the way they're marketing the GOAT series, but I love that basketball schedule today. It's perfect for my schedule.
What's the schedule?
All the games locked by 7 Real America time, so 8 Eastern. So except
no
for
late swap,
except for the late game, but that's 9:30. So
they
created
the schedule around Lolz.
They got a schedule around Lolz.
They were like,
if they do that, we'll take it all back.
That's how they buttered you up for the conversation tonight. It's perfect.
They could, yeah. If they cater to me, my tune will change.
So I feel like there's multiple things going on right now with DraftKings. In the macro, the stock price has plummeted, correct?
Yeah. Really quick, Derek says in my chat, Draft Sheet would be a good ad for the show, but we can go back. I'm like, that's true. That's a good point. Yeah, there's the stock dropping, Robin's responding to the criticism, and then before that, I think I have the timeline right, was the we don't want winners or whatever. I'm paraphrasing whatever the article quote says.
Yeah, and I guess my first thing on that is we all know that that's the case, right? I mean, that's obvious. It's why the sports books are constantly limiting sharp bettors. But isn't there supposed to be a little bit of a song and dance with the optics, right? Like, you don't want to just come out and say that explicitly, right?
You'd think so. Well, I mean, but when you're like, I preach on this show every time, like when you have no consequences, when you're locked in, and the barrier to entry is so high for competition now, like, what are they going to do? What are people going to do? Start our own sports book? Pay for the license?
Yeah. And
if you could even get it, which you probably can't.
There's a lot going on with it too. What was and you retweeted a tweet today. It was Charlie Baker was, doing a ribbon cutting thing, and DraftKings was celebrating how much, they've done for each other. It's like, we still don't even have sports betting in mass. Like, what are we even celebrating?
Yeah. I mean, what the whole thing just pushes my, my specific buttons. Like, why, like, thank him for what? Like, we should be allowed to gamble without his stamp of approval. It's none of his fucking business. So, like, just in general, I can't stand it. But this is how the arc always goes with these companies, or just companies in general that get big. They grow, so they go public. The founders get rich. Their motivation starts slowing down. So then they start using the state to moat off their competition. And then everyone suffers through higher prices than they rightfully should be, and a lesser product.
I agree with you. What do you think? There's another micro version of this take, very specific to Robbins and Kalish and these guys. And I've seen this take floated around that, like, all these guys care about is their own crypto and NFTs right now. And that this is a concern that they're not obsessed with building, the best possible DFS and sports betting company. What do you think of that take?
So that's what he was responding to, Robbins. So you could bring up his. I think they should get into crypto and NFTs. I like it.
Yeah.
I also don't think the criticism. Remember we've talked about it on the show. Like, okay, now that sports betting here, they're not paying attention to DFS, whatever. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me either. Like, if you have a store and like one section makes money, why would you be like, fuck it, I can make more money, over here? Like, you can continue to make money on both.
Right.
So that logic doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, and the take I heard was even more outside of the companies and just the individuals themselves seem so obsessed with NFTs. Kalish is doing the show with Gary V and, Jason, and they're always talking about their crypto gains and stuff like that. It was concerning for people that they're not sitting and talking about, DFS anymore, but it's like, no one's really sitting and just talking about DFS anymore.
Yeah. They're not allowed to have other interests. And like I said, like if you put me in charge of DraftKings, they're going to be defunct in 6 months, probably. You know what I mean? Like this is criticism from people who don't even know what the fuck they're talking about.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, we would be considered experts compared to 99.9% of the population in this industry in general, right? Not that I'm saying we are, but comparatively we are. And like, there's how do you know that their DFS product is like suffering purposely because of X, Y, or Z, or they're doing it on purpose? They're not concentrating on sports betting. Like that whole premise seems ridiculous to me. The backlash for saying we don't want winning players or we want recreational players or whatever he said, like that's 100% warranted. I just wish a lot of people who criticize that would see that in like other sectors, because it's not just sports betting, in cars and beers, alcohol, like go down the list.
Yeah,
it works like that in every sector, and people just forget and just like, oh no, well, with gambling it's fucked up, but over here it's probably good.
Well, that's that. I mean, we've talked about that concept before too. When you read an article or on a industry or something, a topic you're really well versed in, and you can spot all of the inconsistencies or, all the things that are wrong. And then it makes you think, wait, where every other article I read where I am not a domain expert, how much actual shit is untrue in this representation?
Yeah. The Gelman amnesia effect. And that's what I think the definition of red pilled is, not this like QAnon bullshit, like where the lizard people are running things or anything like that. Like just recognizing that and then applying it, like recognizing, oh, like they're completely lying about this. Well, then maybe they're lying about something else, or they got this completely backwards. Let's, at least don't have amnesia, which is Michael Crichton's premise there, where like, you don't just completely black it out and then read the new thing as a blank slate. Like at least consider what this new, update your priors. And the same thing goes with gambling, where people are into other things that the state will get their hands in. Like, you think it's any fucking different there?
Yeah. And I mean, the stuff with DraftKings specifically, I mean, isn't this the exact same classic pattern? I mean, we kind of see it with Top Shot right now too, where people bought the top of the DraftKings stock price goes down. People point to whatever is going on with the business as reasons to criticize them or whatever. Like, I mean, if price goes up, does anyone give a shit that they're doing blockchain technology? No, it goes down, then that's the scapegoat or whatever.
Definitely. That was, if the price was double what it is now, they'd be like, "Oh, it's because of the NFTs."
Yeah. Do you own DraftKings stock?
I have at one point. I sold it all. I wouldn't be afraid to buy anytime soon. Not that I fucking know what I'm talking about, but
NFA.
Yeah, not financial advice, but I wouldn't mind putting a little call option on there, gamble it up a bit.
I'm kind of surprised that you wouldn't be sitting on stuff just because it is your livelihood, primarily playing on their platform, or does it just feel like you're already leveraged long on the platform just by that's where you primarily work, that you don't need to like lever yourself up even more?
That was the exact logic I had for buying it. What you said, like, why wouldn't I just get involved in something I'm pumping a ton of money into? And I cannot remember my reason for selling it. I cannot.
You had to get liquidity for Shiba Coin.
I think I had to get liquidity to do another call option or some bullshit where I'm like, this is gonna work. Did you see that guy? He got a little side note. Some guy, I think like an Australian investor, made $1 billion on call options on Tesla. He just kept doubling down. He was martingaling call options on Tesla. He was already rich, I guess, but like it was on the All In Pod they were talking about it a couple weeks ago. Yeah,
that's crazy.
And I'm like, oh, I gotta do
that. What's the update on Shiba?
It's still holding.
Still holding
fine.
How's the price looking?
I think it's like point. Well, I don't even know how many zeros are in it. I don't even know how many I had.
Yeah, wasn't it in the millions?
No, it was billions. I thought it was.
My bad.
0.042779. Yeah, so we want that to be a little higher. I'm telling you, it's gonna pump one more time. It's gonna pump one more time. There's too many degens out there.
I love it. Brian holds no DraftKings stock, but is holding his moon bag of Shiba coin.
Maybe I'll sell it and buy a call option on DraftKings. Bunch of call options.
This is a great time to remind everyone we do have the Rake Free tournament sponsored by DraftKings.com. Link down below. $10 to enter. 400-man tournament this week. Thank you to DraftKings for hooking us up with that. The other thing involved with this kind of whole story with Robbins and the call with investors or whatever is there was a rumor going around that he had a burner account, although it appears as if that story was debunked, right?
Well, he tried to debunk it. I'm assuming, like, who cares if he's got a burner anyways?
Yeah.
What do you think?
From what I had seen, it seemed like it was pretty firmly debunked. Some people did some sleuthing and found the guy's LinkedIn profile, and it would have appeared to be a pretty long con for a burner. There was one interaction where it appeared as if he had forgotten to change accounts just by how the guy had responded to him. Yeah, it seems a little. I mean, the concept of burner accounts in general are so. I understand why people do it, but it makes no sense to me in that it's totally self-serving, right? To just make yourself feel better, because the actual audience of people that are seeing replies to a burner, like, you're not changing anyone's mind. Like, how many people are in the replies actually seeing a burner and then actually being like, oh yeah, that's a really good point. Now that you say it, I fundamentally think differently on this subject. I just like, is the juice really worth the squeeze ever with a burner? And the downside risk, you get exposed and you look like a complete idiot. Like, where is the upside in a burner?
Yeah, the only burner, I guess, is for trolling.
Right. But I guess I'm thinking of burners in this context with public figures where they're kind of like defending their actions.
Right. I don't get it. Remember Mitt Romney back in the day had one?
Yeah, I mean, Kevin Durant famously had a bunch, but if I was that rich and I needed to steer the conversation, like, I'm hiring a PR agency, I'm hiring some influencers, I'm sliding some people out, like, let's get some sentiment going in my direction here, not just having a burner account with 13 followers get to change the discourse.
That is so weird. I wonder if they're just like more generally neurotic or something like that, like these kind of wealthy go-getters. You know what I mean? Like, I wonder if there's like a burner to wealthy neurotic correlation.
Yeah. I think too, it's almost, in the same way, when people go talk to a therapist and a large part of it is just saying those words aloud and getting it off your chest is therapeutic. Mm-hmm. I think for these people, they're so mad and they know they can't write it from their main account and they just need to go in a room and scream it out loud, and just logging onto the burner is the equivalent of just going and talking to a therapist and just getting it out in the world.
That's true. I could see that. Yeah. I mean, I could see that being a reason. I'd like to see each individual case. I remember the Mitt Romney ones were a while ago, and they were just like, he's arguing policy and stuff. It's like the guy almost was president of the United States, and he's got a burner with 15 followers arguing with people.
And that's the other thing, right? To actually have a successful and believable burner, the amount of legwork you have to put into building that up. Like, if I were to attempt that for myself, I feel like I would need to start an account and have a 6-month runway of following, interacting with people, building up this alternate identity that had some clout in some way, just to have a believable breadcrumb trail when people start digging through. Who are you following? Who are you interacting? Some of these burners, they go and like every fave tweet is just like, praising Jason Robbins or whatever. It's like, is this really every single thing you're favoriting?
What about this excuse he could use? Inflation. Inflation concerns are what's driving down the price of DraftKings, right?
And just as using that as a catch-all?
Investors think gamblers won't have disposable money because of inflation being so high that they need to spend it on regular goods, home goods, and such, right? That would have been a much better angle.
Yeah.
Than opening a burner and
And then the natural segue, it is that because of inflation and it being higher to buy, the goods that you just need in your life to survive, you go to the DraftKings store, the Dynasty store, and you're able to get your appliances, you're able to get your bed frames, basically everything you need to live, you can now actually get all from DraftKings.
Yeah, maybe that's why he's so upset. He's just got so much shit from the Dynasty store at his house. He just can't move around. Did you see Powell came out and said inflation is not transitory?
Really? No,
yeah.
I didn't.
He said we should retire the word. You know how politics speaks, so they never really answer the question and stuff. But he said we should retire the word transitory, and then the stock market dropped, 650 points. So he easily could have used that. I didn't look today. I was kind of busy. How's the stock market doing today? Oh, it's down another. Okay, yeah, it's down a lot.
Everything seemed it was taking a beating.
Yeah, well, that's why because they're gonna have to raise. He's talking about tapering. So it's down 2,000 points from the high from November 5th. 2,400. Wow.
Yeah.
The Dow,
and you think it was primarily driven from that statement?
I mean, I did take like 2 economics courses in college. So yeah, I think based off of that experience, that's definitely what it was. I mean, that's what everyone I'm reading and listening to says.
Yeah. Influencers, man. These Colin Powell, these influencers, they can just go
Colin
on
Powell,
Twitter
he's no longer with us. R.I.P. Jerome Powell.
Jerome Powell. I was like, what was my other big gaffe? When it was the boat that got stuck in the Suez Canal, was it?
Yeah, that was a while. Yeah, I can't remember.
Yeah, I think I was on a show and I said Panama Canal.
Oh, okay. Well, isn't that possible? That's possible.
It's probably possible.
Yeah.
I was actually listening to a podcast about that and how they're now, widening it and stuff. But some of the like supply chain issues are just still so bad with some of that stuff and how unorganized it is. And it's basically all this disparate information around the globe about where these ships are coming in from, when they're leaving. Like there's no organizational hub for this stuff, in that it's just basically it was just saying this is another disaster waiting to happen with this stuff. And even widening the Suez Canal does not help.
Wow, that's great. Yeah. There's a lot of uncertainty. I'm interested to see if like any of the guys watch and like think about that. Like what's your play?
Racif says the equity itself is inflation resistant, but the theory people would have less disposable income to gamble makes sense. Oh, that was on your Jason Robbins spinning it that way take.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure someone can argue that, but he can especially just blame it on that. Would make total sense.
Yeah, and I mean his kind of talking points too, it just seemed like the typical talking points you would make if your stock was down. We're building for the future. We're looking into these alternative areas. People who invest in us should be playing the long game with us, et cetera, et cetera.
Right. Yeah, it'd be perfect. Inflation's eventually they're going to get a handle on it. NFTs is just another way for us to make money. It's inflation. It's not our founders concentrating on something else.
What did DraftKings stock get up to at one point? Was it up to the 80s?
I don't remember if it got that high. That's probably after I sold, which is why I don't remember getting that high.
Maybe I always mix up a pen.
Definitely into the 60s.
60s.
Let's see here.
6 months. Yeah, it looks like you're right. 62 maybe?
Yeah, 66.
Okay.
71, 72 almost. 74.
Oh, you're right. Back in March and back in March.
Yeah, that was the lockdowns, wasn't it? No, that's this year. Yeah.
Yeah, I can pull up
52-week high, 74.38. So it's down over half. That's crazy.
Yeah. But even, yeah, so I guess it hasn't been this low since basically a year and a half ago. Last summer was the last time it was around this range.
This is a benefit. I mean, I hesitate to even call it a benefit, but like with the state and the companies getting so intertwined like this, like in the gambling industry, like they can't let them go under. You know what I mean? No. They provide a lot of tax dollars. What are they going to let them go under and be like, oh, now we only have one allowable sportsbook site? You know, like they want them to succeed now. So
it sounds like you government bailout for DraftKings.
Would that surprise you?
Probably not.
Also, do you think they got one of those PPP loans? I bet they did.
I mean, so many companies you would think wouldn't need the PPP loan got a PPP.
They had more claim to it than the Lakers. The Lakers got one.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure they did.
Yeah. So I'm sure it's one way or another. They'll get something.
Yeah. And I guess circling back to the conversation with this all started, I can read this quote here that this is what Jason Robbins had said about the customer acquisition stuff. A big question that everyone asks, especially when you see money going to customer acquisition, how sticky will these players be? What will the lifetime values be? We look at 2 to 3 year paybacks on players too, for the only reason being that we don't have more data, as blah, blah, blah. Certainly there's evidence that there's downloading and trial of different apps, particularly in the early phase of market. But usually what we see in research is that most players favor one app and direct the vast majority of their gameplay there. And the ones that don't are more the ones that you don't really want. They're bonus hunters and odd shoppers and dare I say rent seekers. And it's a very small fraction of the audience. It's less than 10% of the audience, but those are not the most profitable customers for obvious reasons.
That'd be great if he actually did say, dare I say, rent seekers. Do you think, here's another thing too, is like not being there. Maybe they've run the numbers, hired someone to run the numbers, and they're like, oh, actually, Spanky and Captain Jack and everybody, they're wrong. Even if we did bring in like a Pinnacle style, bookmaker style odds maker and get the big, huge market share with small margins, that it's worth it. It's just not worth it. Like maybe they did run the numbers and they just totally disagree. I mean, from like a fiduciary standpoint, if you were in charge there, then that makes perfect sense to me. Like from our side, obviously we want them to go ham. We want them to be the market leader, take all money, get that, the huge portion of all the customers and make the small amount of VIG, but just take all comers. And then we use them like Pinnacle the same way. That would be fantastic. And you figure somebody would try it if it makes sense. But the only thing is like, they're not getting spurred on by competition.
Right.
Barely, just like, and then eventually they like, you see it with like Visa, MasterCard, or a lot of the liquor stores or car companies too. Like when Tesla tried to get in Illinois, like every area was like zoned off. You couldn't sell cars there.
Yeah.
So like they got sued and like once that happens, they get complacent.
Yeah.
And why bother?
Did you, Justin Freeman from Run the Sims had replied to one of your tweets about, could a politician in a state that's considering allowing sports betting actually legislate that operators can only legally operate in their state by ensuring equal betting limits to all players? So almost like an earmark for a bill. Do you ever envision something like that happening?
We've talked about that on this show. probably a year ago. They could easily do that. I think we have a whole episode on that. Like they could easily go, here's the minimum. We're gonna post the limits, and this is anyone can do it, and you can't change them. You know what I mean? They could easily make that law. They could do whatever they want. Like in Canada, they have a bunch of weird things. Like you could only do parlay cards or something like that. You know what I mean? Obviously, It's not the same government, but they can do whatever the hell they want, especially in these type of sin sectors. So clearly they can do it. But why would they do that? Right? It's not. It's helping your allies and hurting your enemies is how you achieve political power. So like in what way, why would they want to hurt potential allies or current allies, which are the casinos? They employ people in their districts. They provide money to them, to their party, to their county, right? Their county's party, like down the list. Did I ever tell you that story when I was working at like political consulting company and I was typing in? I'm sure I have, but I'll tell it again.
No, tell it again. I don't remember.
And I was typing in like these checks. So we had like 50 candidates, politicians, local up to federal, maybe even more than that. Anyways, and I was typing in all the money that these candidates were getting, and like the same name kept popping up over and over again. I didn't recognize it, and like I kept asking around. My boss didn't even know. It was a really small office, and like, yeah, I was asking everyone I knew in politics, and no one knew. And then I finally asked somebody who was really high up, and then they told me, oh, that's I can't remember his title, but it's like, oh, that's the director of government operations for Comcast in Philadelphia. And it's like, oh, okay. So here's how it works. So we would get a check from the lobbyist. So like the Comcast lobbyist, his name was Daryl. I can't remember his last name. So that's whatever, $2,500, $5,000, depends. You get a check from Comcast. You get a check from the government agency guy, and those are just the ones off the top of my head. So it's not just a $2,500 limit, right? And then you give a check to the party, like the Democratic Party, the Senate. It depends if it's a House or Senate, but you just give it to all of them. They even give it to Republicans, right? And so like, I'm assuming like this guy makes millions of dollars, at Comcast, and they're like, let's say it's 2 million, they're like 2.5 million, but you know what you're supposed to do with the 5 million, and you're just, you have the Midwest or something, right? Wink, wink. You know what I mean? So There's just so much, and it has real life consequences too. So like in Chicago, we have fiber optic cables in the ground for the whole city. AT&T laid them there years ago. But when they were going to release it for the customer, Comcast and maybe one other company sued them and said it's a competitive disadvantage. You can't do it unless we have access to it. So AT&T, the government ruled with them, and so AT&T goes, okay, fine, we're just not going to release it. So we don't have fiber.
Yeah, and I assume the companies, if they were ever the gambling and sportsbook companies would say, oh, we can't be profitable if you make us, have to play by these specific rules, or, we have to accept it, then we can't even run a profitable business.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That happens all the time so like, look at Uber and Airbnb. So in Chicago, when Airbnb got here, the hotels are like, hey, we're being taxed. We have this extra tax that we have to pay for Soldier Field. Right? That's how they decided to pay for Soldier Field. We can't compete with Airbnb because we're paying this tax you're making us pay. It's actually a legitimate, logical thing to say, and that's their argument. So they fuck up Airbnb, right? They start cracking down, and like my brother had his Airbnb canceled, right? They're like, oh, you can't do it in this building, you can't do it in this area now. Oh, here's an extra tax, so it's competitive with the hotels. Uber, same thing.
Uber, now you have to walk halfway across the airport to go pick up your Uber because the taxis get played.
Uber was awesome, and they fucking ruined it. And they don't ruin it. Like it's not because they don't want to like give you a good, cheap service. It's because the taxi companies had a monopoly for decades, right? The fact that Uber and Airbnb even got started is kind of a minor miracle. But then once they get in and then the founders get theirs, the product starts going to shit. And then they start working with the state, and then you're back to garbage again, over and over again. So it's like, can't the government do something good, Justin? Like, yeah, no shit. Of course they could, but they have no incentives. Their incentives aren't in the right place for that to happen. They're all in the wrong place. They want to help their allies and people who are giving them money and jobs in their district. And there's no consequences. What's going to happen to them? That I don't have fiber. What happens to them? If DraftKings starts banning people, which this is another thing we should talk about, like with Jason going, we don't want winning players. Was that apply to DFS? We've been sounding that alarm bell for a while now.
Yeah, but aren't you? I guess you could make the argument, but you guys are, and I say you guys, whales are so vital to the DFS ecosystem because it's your volume, it's you maxing out the tournaments that can keep those guaranteed prize pools high. Like, I feel like whales are way more vital to the DFS ecosystem than they are sportsbook, or are they equal, would you say?
No, I think it would be a mistake. Like I said, I think it would just drop the curve on the Pareto distribution of the players winning the money, and it would just go down. And then new player, it'd look the same, it would just go down. So they would probably just lose more in liquidity or whatever. That would be my guess. But who knows? Maybe that for the same reason that they don't want to do a pinnacle bookmaking style, they changed their mind. Like, let's just get rid of these guys. And the same thing with the Poker Stars logic. And then the losing players will last longer. Shit like that. More rake is better. Type of bullshit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, at this point too, it just the things DraftKings are doing there, it doesn't even seem like they're paying attention to DFS. DFS is just kind of in cruise control for them.
Yeah. I mean, that's their bread and butter, right? They've been doing it for so long.
Yeah.
They changed the rewards program, and
yeah, that's true.
That's about it. I mean, what else do they really need to do? I mean, they could do like work around the edges.
Yeah, I mean, it's the stuff I think that we talked about too. Getting a little more inventive and creative with some of the game types, I think would be fun and kind of bring in just more energy and excitement and stuff. And you think about how much content drives play. People want to play in contests. You have casual fans that want to say they're a golf fan. And so you put one lineup in the Millie Maker. But when you're creating these high volume players, it's largely driven through content sites too. So giving the content sites more to work with, like I've always mentioned Superflex, for football. Think about then how much more strategy shows would crop up around that. Or we always talk about the assistant to the regional captain. Imagine that new wrinkle to Showdown. Like, why not give the content, people a new puzzle to solve?
I agree. That all would be awesome. The whole content of adding entertaining content. Like sports betting has zero entertaining content, and DFS not much. So like, and poker back in the day was entertaining. You could a lot of girls would watch that too, which is I'm sure a market share they'd like to get into, right? Yeah. Like a lot of girls back in the day used to like poker, believe it or not. And because it's entertaining, it doesn't really matter if you knew the GTO strategy on PL08, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, you could just watch the ESPN coverage and be like, oh my God, Phil Hellmuth is crazy.
Mike Diamond says, you guys wouldn't have VIP reps, free courtside tickets, etc. if they didn't like whales. You're talking to the wrong two guys because I don't have VIP reps and Brian doesn't use any of his perks.
They don't give them out like they used to, Mike. Let me tell you. Back in the day, it was pretty good. But yeah, now it's not much. They'll do stuff like I've mentioned before, convert your crowns to sportsbook bonuses and stuff like that. Yeah, they gave out a deposit bonus that was pretty good a couple weeks ago. But yeah, before there was a lot of stuff. I did go to a Cubs game once, maybe twice. But I've said no so many times that they probably stopped asking.
What would be kind of the dream VIP package they could offer you? Like if they got you, tickets to go to the Masters, or like, is there anything that would be
whatever the most expensive one is, and then convert it into dollars and just give me the dollars?
No, destroys the purpose of this hypothetical. I want to know if there's an actual,
like a naked yoga / fishing competition, fishing gloves only competition afterwards.
No, there has to be. There's not a single sporting event that you
maybe
would
the World Cup in some cool country would be. But
yeah.
I mean, now with COVID, who knows that you don't want to get stuck somewhere for 2 weeks or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dubai, don't they have issues with like it's dry, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's dry, but you can get booze if you're on a Western hotel.
Yeah. That would be incredible. Brian, if DraftKings got us tickets to go to Fight Island to watch a card,
yeah,
we'd have to do that.
Yeah, that
would be. So
how about like tickets to be live audience members for the GOAT series episode 3?
Can you imagine? You would be like, how self-conscious would Osimo Whistles and Big TV if you and me were just kind of sitting in the corner like this, just watching the film?
The acting couldn't get any worse. It does not matter.
Oh my goodness. No, I appreciate those guys being part of that. I just wish DraftKings would have given them a little bit more to work with.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and they're being good sports about it too.
Oh,
obviously.
yeah.
So like, it's all good fun. I just wish it would come out a little sooner, and then we can bring some of them on, talk about it.
I know
hopefully it's good enough to bring them on to even talk about it. Because right now it's honestly not even like, who gives a shit. Like,
we need some meat. We need some meat to discuss.
Right. They got to do something. Like, hopefully the episodes get a little longer.
Yeah. I need a 22 and a half minute sitcom length for these bad boys.
Yeah. Like you said, follow them for a day. Actual conversation, like get them drunk, and then add out the bad stuff.
Yeah. Another fun thing too would be the applying them with alcohol is a very good suggestion, but have like a little round table discussion with even like current topics. And some of them could even be softballs. Like, what is your favorite DFS sport to play and why? And like have a little debate on why that's your favorite or whatever, like have, I think you could actually have some pretty interesting conversation from 3 people who play and think about DFS from very different perspectives, and to kind of hear that fleshed out. There's lots of interesting stuff you could mine there.
That would be a Lolz episode.
Right.
Bring them on and just talk about DFS.
Yes. Can you get drunk? Yes. You always have our permission to get drunk. It would be very un-Lolz-like to put restrictions on our viewers about what they could and couldn't drink during these episodes.
Yeah. That would also be pretty hypocritical. Although I haven't had a drink since October 15th.
Wait, okay. Is that, I assume that's purposeful and not just a random happenstance?
The combination of the two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw you grind. What machine were you on? You posted your 420 calories burned.
That was an elliptical, one of the ones with like the rubber bands on it.
Yeah. I
like those for my old body.
There you go.
More than a treadmill, man, those bang up your knees. And
yeah, the more I used to run a lot more, and just the more I'm just like, I do not want to add. There's so many other better ways to burn calories than racking up mileage on I still enjoy running, but I think you got to be smart, because you will fuck your knees up.
The gym etiquette on Pretty Ladies. This one time I was on like some chest machine, and I just zoned out. You ever do that where you just like zone out and you're just like staring at mile, what's that, mile long stare or whatever?
Yeah.
And then I come to, and it's directly at this hot chick, and she's like looking at me like I thinks and she starts laughing like,
because she kind of could tell what happened.
No, I don't think so. I couldn't tell. Like, she started laughing. I was like, oh my God. But I'm assuming she thought I was like staring at her today, or not today. This is a while ago.
There's just drool coming down your face.
But today, then there was this girl two to the front, right? Like when you're working out, and it does give you a little extra motivation. So God bless you. Looks like Brian took the October 15th text.
There you go. There you go. All right, guys, I got to run and get ready for ship chasing. Happy to have Brian back in the saddle for Lolz. Who knows? Maybe even Brian will rearrange his plans for next Saturday. If not, we will be here Wednesday. Though, anything else you'd like to plug here, Brian?
Yeah, on my site, I'm actually going to put up. Well, first, I have that Sportsbook Hug working pretty good.
Yeah.
So if anyone wants to test it out, it's pretty cool. So like a little overlay for prop betting makes it just really easy to see the props. And I'm gonna get it where you can upload. Try to get it to where you can upload my info, Alex's info, maybe ETRs if I could pull that off. And if you have subs to them, you could quickly go through the good props, really easily see what's good, what's bad.
Oh wow, you got this whole thing going here. You got the subscription via PayPal.
Yep, and there's free trial on there too.
Nice.
And the interface looks a little better the way it looks like. That's just directions on how to install an extension.
Yeah.
Because they won't let you put it in the Chrome store.
Right.
Because it's gambling. And it looks a little better on the left side now. They cleaned up the UI. But
nice. This is awesome. And so you have APIs for what books?
That's just the overlay's just working for DraftKings right now, but
okay,
like the auto open and login and stuff works for those 4: PointsBet, FanDuel.
That's awesome.
DraftKings.
And
then I added a vote coin.
I saw that.
It doesn't have anything on it, but I'm putting. I'm writing up like a white paper of sorts for that idea I was telling you about.
Really? All right.
Yeah, it'll only be a couple pages long.
I love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
We'll see how that goes.
Yeah, and I'm gonna keep pumping Underdog for API info because I need to get that info to you so you can create that plugin for their site.
Yeah, definitely. If they have and like I said, like a developer portal too would be pretty sweet.
I'll see what I can do. All right, guys. Audio version will be up on the podcast a little bit later. If you're watching on either of our channels, please subscribe. And otherwise, we will see you guys next Wednesday.